Good evening, good morning, afternoon, family. SMA in the we like worldwide and intergalactic and what. This is Karma Mayette speaking to you from Gotham City, otherwise known as. But my heart stays in Mississippi, where my people are from, and I see Mississippi's in the house on this call. Um, so grateful to be gathered with you all because this is where we come to get refueled and to get reminded of our relationships that fuel and that resource the commitment we have to making justice together. And so I was thinking about y'all earlier today. And as you see, we've got the blessing of having ASL interpreters with us. And I was thinking about today as we gather for this hot damn freedom and survival journey that we're about to enter together. I was thinking about how it can get hot on the tongue, and I was thinking about the ways that we speak different tongues, and that as we begin this journey with questioning what it is that we mean when we speak of decolonization, that language is such a big part of it. And so I went to the poets, right? I went to the ones who take the language and sustain and feed and nourish us with it. So I want to share with you a piece to open us up, a poem by the Salvadoran poet Roque Dalton. I'll say it because it's very short. I'll say it first in the original, and I'll give it to you in English after. Como tú, yo, como tú, amo el amor, la vida, el dulce encanto de las cosas, el paisaje celeste de los días de enero. También mi sangre bulle y río por los ojos que han conocido el brote de las lágrimas. Creo que el mundo es bello, que la poesía es como el pan de todos y que mis venas no terminan en mí, sino en la sangre unánime de los que luchan por la vida, el amor, las cosas, el paisaje y el pan, la poesía de todos. So he says, like you, I love love, life, the sweet smell of things, the sky blue landscape of January days. And my blood boils up and I laugh through eyes that have known the buds of tears. I believe the world is beautiful and that poetry like bread is for everyone, and that my veins don't end in me, but in the unanimous blood of those who struggle for life, love, little things, landscape, and bread, the poetry of everyone. So thanks to revolutionary poet Roque Dalton and to all of your hearts who are so dedicated. And just a few reminders before we jump deeper into this water. That we're gonna do all the good Zoom things, keeping ourselves muted, except for when we are offering our brilliance. And that we're gonna have some opportunities to contribute to this gathering and this generation of information together. And that we'll walk through together some details of what's being served, some details of this situation, this hot sauce that we've been cooking up for y'all. We are being recorded, and this recording will also be sent to you, to everybody who's here. And so I encourage you, because we're being recorded, that At any moment when you need to get up from the Zoom for a moment to stretch or to breathe or to honor the cycle of the waters, to hydrate yourself, etc., that you do so, or that you turn your camera off and lay down for a part of the conversation if you need to. A big part of how we're going to be approaching this hot damn situation really centers on how we take care of ourselves through all that we are facing individually and collectively every day. And so that includes the way we even do our Zooms, my good people. So just a reminder that this is a perfect moment, for example, to get some water and hydrate yourself as we get ready to get into this metaphorical water of what we're talking about up in here with expanding our minds and our consciousness in this learning process that we're about to jump into together. And for those of you who have been like hotly anticipating what is to come with this hot damn situation, we just want to extend our gratitude, those of us who have been back here planning it. And we're expecting fully that tonight y'all will let us know all the things that we didn't think of yet. This is part of why we're so excited to be together with you tonight, is to get that popping. And also, before we get started any further, I want to ask you to save the date of the 22nd of September, because that is the day that we've completely dedicated our gathering to getting into the nuts and bolts of how the study group is going to flow. That's the day when we'll all gather and have a grounding to really initiate ourselves into this journey of inquiry. So today we're doing this launch party, and on the 22nd will be like the get down after we have a chance tonight to gather all your input, go back and cook it some more and put some more hot peppers in there, and then bring it back to you on the 22nd. So I think with that we are ready to rock. We're ready to rock. I'm going to pass this microphone and I'll be back at y'all in a little bit.
Sweet. Thank you, Karma. And Karma's with Wind and Warrior. This is Chef Gilliu. I'm with Project South, based here in Atlanta, Georgia. And with Shayla Walsh, we're going to be facilitating through tonight. And tonight is this launch party. So I'm going to pull up this first slide. So this is the launch party for the first ever SMA Freedom and Survival School. And we're calling it Hot D.A.M. And it stands for Decolonization, Abolition, and Mutual Aid. And it's a 6-month study series. So we're going to use this study series to shape our vision, strengthen our organizing skills, and deepen our relationships. And we really know, all of you all know, as organizers across the South, that we cannot organize without learning, without research, without investigation of our terrains, of our people, of our places, of what's happening. And we have to know our history to move forward and to shape the history that we're moving into. So this emerged from the People's First 100 Days. So we want to start with just a little bit of a background, because it was really the ideas and requests that came up from you all doing the organizing work on the ground, to go deeper, to get to know each other, to build these relationships and build out our shared analysis. Because this is the time to really shape a world that is in so much dramatic and deep crisis. So we'll go to the next slide and just kick off a quick review of where we're at in the action plan from 2021. So we developed that action plan together at SMA 9, right after the national elections. And so we were able to produce and implement and launch the People's First 100 Days on January 1. The goals of the, yeah, go ahead, that's perfect, next slide. The action plan goals of this year is to protect our people, to support these mutual aid projects popping up everywhere, to engage in public health interventions, training up our people with community organizing skills to protect ourselves. 2, to disrupt racialized capital, to divert and divest the resources that create harm, to reinvest in community control for food, for health, for land, and safety. The last 3 General Membership Assembly calls has been focused on what is racialized capitalism, How do we envision a world without it? And how do we build strategies to do? So that's been a powerful process to learn together. And that's going to kick us into this next phase. The last goal is to build community controlled infrastructure. And we know that in moments of crisis, particularly the climate crisis and weather crises we're seeing across the South, the police murders, the dangers that our communities face, we have to grow a coordinated force of movement groups across the South to protect and defend our communities, build new social economies, and practice a people's democracy. So those are our goals. Let's go to the next slide and see how this all fits together. We've been taking it month to month. During those people's first 100 days, we gathered, we mapped, we planned, and we had a huge set of Southern People's Power actions in April. We reflected on that work. We created new ideas. We grew those ideas. We prepared in August, and we're about to kick off into a phase and season of learning together to assemble and kick off towards our SMA 10, our Southern Movement Assembly 10, in our 10th year of organizing together in this formation. November we'll plan, and December we'll breathe. We got to take a minute to breathe and just catch ourselves as we've been doing so much work together. And part of this study has emerged from that. We need a moment to really look, to learn. We can go to the next slide. Because we completed a major campaign this year. We gathered, we mapped, we coordinated 38 actions. You all did that across 11 states and multiple front lines. And we increased our engagement, and folks want to learn together, come together, and that's a part of this vision. We can kick to the next one. So here we are. This is the launch party for the SMA Freedom and Survival School, the first ever. And we are pulling from the history of Southern freedom schools, of Indigenous survival schools in different eras, different seasons of organizing in our movement history. And we're rooted in popular education. So we're gonna, we know that relies on you, on your knowledge, on your experiences, on your resources. And we're gonna take our time with it. We're gonna take these big terms that we've been talking about and learning about, over this year, words and concepts that we've been working on over many, many decades, but that got big attention in 2020 because of the uprisings, because of this racial justice reckoning that we're inside of, because of the crises that we've been all organizing on for a long time. What is decolonization? What is abolition? What is mutual aid in the 21st century? How do we build up our organizing and practices based in study, learning, and examples? So I'm going to pass it to Shayla with the National Nurses United, who's one of the great organizers in this Southern Movement Assembly formation, to take us through how this is going to work.
Thanks, Steph. Welcome, everyone. My name is Shayla. I live in Miami, Miccosukee Creek land. I go by she, her, and I'm really excited to be here today. And thank you, Steph, for that wrap up of how we got here, because we know we did not get here by chance. So choices were made to construct this oppressive reality by others. And it's important for us, for all of us, to have that understanding, to know that pretext, that context, and that subtext of our reality in order to break these bonds that oppress us and dream big and bold and shape the South that we envision. Where did we lose the slides?
I got you.
Awesome. So what we do know is that we're going to need the tools to do this work. And the goal of this curriculum is to come out not only by deepening those relationships and understanding that history, but being able to really investigate what our current realities are. And so in order to do that, we need to be intentional and fluid and making sure that all of those who are impacted by any oppressive bonds have a seat at this table in the development of this curriculum. So there's going to be multiple times throughout this gathering tonight to be able to register to be a facilitator, and we'll explore that a little bit deeper, but definitely want to encourage that. If we can move to slide 8, please. We're going to learn and really dig deep in these areas, you know, decolonization, abolition, mutual aid. But we really want to just go back and reiterate how intentional we are in developing these facilitation guides. understanding that there is a dynamic involved here. We want to make sure that we're inclusive. We want to make sure that everything is accessible. And we want to make sure that this curriculum is developed by those who live in this existence that have these experiences, but because we know that all of the work that we do has value in the transformation that we seek here in the South, and all of the work that we do is equally important. So I just really want to reiterate, and we'll go really bigger here in the next piece on each of these three areas, but I really want to reiterate that we'll be able to see all of our work in this school. And so if we can move to the next slide. In order for us to be intersectional, though, we do have to recognize and honor the history that is before us. And so we recognize that this work is very deep. We recognize that this work could be traumatic. And I just want to really, again, reiterate that we're going to come out of this with an action plan. We're going to come out of this more with just theory. We're going to come out of this ready to take on whatever challenges we face together in the future. And we know that there's a lot that's going to be navigated. And so we're going to respect that historical history, but we're also going to tie it to our current organizing work. And again, we're going to ensure that this is accessible. That means that we're going to make sure that all the learning styles and accessibility needs are, supported free. Let's keep it real. Let's make sure that we are not participating in these bonds that are going to further oppress us. We know that everyone has different learning styles. There's cultural learning differences. There's accessibility learning differences. And so if at any time you feel that this work needs to be more inclusive, reach out to us. And we definitely want to make sure that those who have that deeper understanding are involved in this process. And so from that, I'm going to kick it over to Karma.
Thank you, Shayla. So how are we going to do this here? Okay, so you're going to register. When you register, you're going to choose a time, really the times that we've given, there's 5 options for you. And we're asking that you choose as many as are possible for you. And once you've designated your availability, you'll be grouped with all the people who have a similar availability. And at that point, together as a group, you all will specify the exact time that you all will get together. And that's going to be your Hot D.A.M family for 6 months. Y'all will gather monthly, and in between those monthly gatherings, you're studying this rich, gorgeous curriculum that we've been building up for y'all, and that some of y'all on the call as facilitators and curriculum makers are having this input in, and that we're hoping everyone tonight also will throw some of your own personal peppers into. And through that process, as Shayla was saying, there's going to be also inside of your pod with you, there's going to be a synthesis team whose gig it is to constantly gather the gems of wisdom, the research and the resources, the real-time experiences of organizers on the ground that are connected to the history we're studying, and to synthesize this as we move toward SMA 10 to gather and make useful all of this information, all of this study, and most importantly, all of this relationship that we're building amongst one another in the process to move us toward SMA 10. So just a little more detail, I believe, is on this next slide about the possibilities that you have for your time, right? So you got, as I said, a broad idea of time, more specifically than 5 o'clock or 3 o'clock. That part, that specificity is going to come on the next wave. So this wave, you're just going to let us know if Sunday afternoon or Tuesday evening or Thursday evening or Friday afternoon or Saturday midday, if 1 or 3 of those general timeframes works for you. And then once we run through all those gorgeous registration forms, like I was saying, we'll pod you up with folks who have your similar availability. And at that point, your smaller group will set the specific time. So it'll really be something that can fit into everybody's life. Speaking of this part about fitting into your life, one of the things that I'm very excited about is that we have set the intention to send you out some goodies, right? To send you out some care packages. That's why the registration form asks you also for your mailing address. We're beginning Hot D.A.M with the D in that acronym, decolonization. And we've said that we want to move beyond land acknowledgement. We want to challenge erasure. So when we get into this, we get into why it's called Hot D.A.M, because it's hot. This is some hot water that we're stepping in together, family. And so we want to be centered in care. We want to be centered in compassion. We want to be centered in taking our time with the ways that we approach these conversations, and with starting laying out some language together. And with applying the care that we've recognized is so needed. As we've had these preliminary conversations, getting this curriculum together for y'all, we've put ourselves through the prompts and the exercises and the questions and the conversations that we want to offer to you in order to empathize, right, with you, our darling beloved audience, a little bit more. And what we found is that it takes a lot of breathing, a lot of emotional energy to face the realities that we're speaking of when we speak about the history of colonization here, the realities of what's been lost. And so we're not going to rush through it. We're going to take our time with it. And we're going to move in this process, as we've been discussing with our Indigenous facilitation team, who will be leading us through this decolonization conversation. We've been talking about moving from decolonization into indigenization. We've been talking about the internal and I will say the often invisible, like, realities that tend to get uncovered within us when we start these conversations. So because of that, we're gonna send you some care packages. We're gonna send you like some ways to like have some nice sweetness added into this process, some gentleness added into this process, some little goodies, some of them consumable. We're going to be treating you to dinner. We're going to be doing these kinds of things so that when you gather with your pod for that monthly conversation, that you're being fed physically, spiritually, and intellectually. So that's what we fin to do. And I think, let me see, what else? Let's talk about the love that we're sharing for our facilitation team. So I shared with you that our D's, right? We got D.A.M. So our D team, the decolonization team, the lead facilitators on that are a group of Indigenous facilitators who are putting together this fire experience for y'all. And these folks are gonna be in teams of 3 folks. So you're gonna have a facilitator representing each of your letters in your group. So you'll have a person who's really deeply well-versed in speaking and learning and thinking about decolonization, someone who is similarly versed in thinking about abolition, and someone who is similarly versed in thinking about mutual aid. And the 3 of them together will guide the entire arc of your 6 months, because we recognize that there's no way to talk about one of these without the others. But folks will be stepping forward to guide these specific aspects of the work. And so we're taking care of the facilitators too. Like, they're going to be having their own separate little care sessions just to like decompress from holding what we're going to be holding in these conversations. And so we welcome, today, anytime something pops into your brilliant minds, to please share it in the chat as we shape how we can best serve you in this experience. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the lowdown of it. I'm gonna pass this microphone again, and then of course we're gonna have time later on to see what questions have been generated about the logistics of the thing. But September 22 is the day to show up, the evening to show up for that first initial all the way get down gathering, where we'll give you even more detail than I went into just now, about who's going to be with you in your pod and how that shapes up. All right, all right.
Awesome. So that's gonna be like the first day of school, but in a whole different kind of movement way. So thank you, Karma, for leading us through that. And the next slide. So just like Shayla was saying, how is all this going to tie to organizing? We're going to make sure that this study isn't just for theory or just for the sake of the knowledge, but to really put that knowledge and theory to action and practice. So when we're done, we're going to have a lot of things. When we're at the end of March 2022, so we're trying to plan ahead, think ahead, even though so much is uncertain. At the end of all this, we're going to know each other a lot better. We're going to have those pods. That Hot D.A.M fam is going to be a part of how we protect each other, how we know what's going on, how we can understand what's happening in our region, what's happening in our towns and our cities. We're going to have a whole trained up facilitation team that's worked together for 6 months. So that team's going to be able to lead other types of education, organizing actions. So we're excited about that. And we're going to have built this shared analysis across the 5 different study groups because there's going to be this synthesis team. So we're also going to train up folks to do that synthesis work, which is a key component of the assemblies, to make decisions together, to create this movement governance. We have to be able to synthesize the ideas so that we're not choosing or voting on the best idea, but really synthesizing the knowledge of all of us. So these study groups are going to produce that kind of knowledge, produce these shared visions, and we'll bring that right into the Southern Movement Assembly 10 in probably April or May of 2022. So that's what we're going to come out of this organizing plan with. So it's not just a study group, it is an organizing plan to move us through, make us stronger, and build up our forces at this time. And so the last slide, I think, yeah, this is us here. And we just want to, are really grateful for everybody who's been thinking about this and putting this together so that we can invite you all with a lot of excitement to register and to be part of this school. And in this particular iteration, the Hot D.A.M. So I'm gonna pass it back to, oh, let's see, we've got, yeah, we just wanted to ask sort of in the ask you all and get some responses about why it's important to research, study, and learn in our organizing work, especially as you're hearing all this, and we know y'all are coming from all kinds of experience. Why is it important to do this work as we're organizing, especially in a moment of so much crisis and urgency? Why is it important to make sure that we are also studying, learning, researching, and sharing with each other? So we just want to pause and give you all a chance to think about it. And especially with these big terms, people have been talking about decolonization all over the globe. We know that that has been a major effort. How do we connect, align, learn from Indigenous struggles that are happening here in the US and in other places around the world? Abolition. We've been talking about defund the police. We've been talking about all this stuff. We've got to get deeper. What does it mean in the US South? What does it mean in the 21st century? How is mutual aid more than just an exchange of resources, but a real power building plan in our communities to build up that infrastructure, protect our folks? Why is it important to research, study, and learn in our organizing work? And we're inviting folks to just put it in the chat, good experiences that you've had with study groups, with schools, freedom schools, survival schools. Thanks, y'all. So Renee out in Arkansas is talking about, yeah, knowledge often excludes, contorts reality. We're seeing that with the COVID. We're seeing so much disinformation, misinformation, that it's harmful. How do we pull our true knowledge and community knowledge? Tori Radcliffe calling from Alabama. Knowing the needs, we gotta know who we are to be able to provide that positive long-term impact. Thank you. And we're also going to be asking folks to share resources, share links, share articles, tools that you've been using to do popular education in your community. Awesome, thanks y'all. Now we're popping. Awesome. Awesome. Thanks, Emma. Feeling overwhelmed, hopeless, and disconnected at times. I know a lot of people are feeling that maybe this is something that could be grounding, focusing, and connecting. That is our hope. That's a goal. Thank you. And that learning feeds and sustains our community work. Thanks, Christine. Awesome, y'all. Thanks, Jasmine. Thanks, Nina. Does anybody want to say out loud what they're thinking in terms of the answer to this question? You're welcome to come off mute. We can just get maybe 3 responses out loud if anybody wants to share what you're putting in the chat. Thanks, Lynn. Because the world is constantly changing, it's important to learn about the changes in order to spread awareness, to build up our strategies in new ways as the conditions change. Thank you.
Hey y'all, it's Kalani. I wanted to just go on and say that, yo, I am so pumped, so pumped. This SMA right now is building up that flame. I cannot believe right now how ecstatic I am. You guys are doing it so big, and I'm so grateful for it. Thank you all for putting this together, leadership, everybody involved. This is so, so hot. I have to say, learning and going back and looking into history, reading our books, reading about our ancestors, the work they've done is so imperative. I myself, as I'm learning about what is happening to us in this world, how can we make differences? How can we make changes to move us forward as a society, to get beyond this oppression? We have to look back at the work that's already been done. The torch needs to be passed on to us newer generations. So how best can we learn how to keep on moving in the same direction, the same orientation for peace, for lifting this oppression, than by looking at what's already been done and taking that torch and passing it on to the next generation? So I'm all about this. This is so wholesome. I love it. I put in the chat previously that I'm literally cooking chili right now, but like this is so hot. Like y'all got my stove on fire. I am like over the top. Thank you so much for having this. And I love all of y'all for the energy. This is a blessing. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, Kalani.
I love his energy. I love that energy. That was beautiful, Kaylani.
Thank you. Thanks, thanks, folks. So lots of good energy coming into the chat. Thanks, Kalani, for sharing that energy from the stove. We got Suzanne Farr speaking from experience. Study groups and political education leads to critical thinking, our greatest guard against fascism. As we're seeing this rise in our communities, how can we protect ourselves? This is one way, one strategy. Ella Baker's strategy. Kaylani, Parker, you want to say anything? Anybody else want to come off mute just for another quick comment?
Yeah, I would just like to say standing too close together. Thank you very much for organizing this. I think this is what all of us need, and I think that it's helpful, and I'm glad to see it coming together.
Sweet. Sweet. Thanks, y'all. Well, let's hear, thank y'all, and thank y'all for putting into the chat just why it's important to study, why it's important to come together, why it's important to discuss and build up our critical thinking, where we've been, where we're going. So thank you. I'm gonna pass it to Karma and we're gonna go a little deeper on these 3 frameworks that we're working into this Hot D.A.M Freedom and Survival School.
Yes, indeed. Thank y'all for all of that hot energy. And we just getting started. So D.A.M, right? D.A.M. Decolonization, abolition, and mutual aid. When we first started speaking about how to put this together, we were like, we can't do them separately because they're not separate. So this is why we've got your pod with 3 facilitators. Each one is the expert on either the D, the A, or the M. And then you are bringing your expertise and your lived experience to sweeten the pot. And so some of our beautiful comrades are about to break down to you in further detail, letter by letter, Ida, Shayla, and Nina, to be precise, some of the hottest young organizing minds on the planet. And so without further ado, I shall pass this microphone to my beloved Ida.
Hello, hello. I'm Ida. I use they, them pronouns. I am a part of the United Homa Nation out of Houma, Louisiana, about an hour south of Bulbancha, or what y'all probably know as New Orleans. I put something in the chat earlier about learning that really resonated with me about accepting that we are ignorant about many things allows for an unlearning process to unfold. This is one of my biggest achievements, my learned ignorance, without which my curiosity to keep learning would be hindered. In my own journey, I've had a lot of unlearning that I've had to do. And in delving into further community with my tribe, there's been a lot of unlearning that I've had to do. And so that's all kind of part of the process. What was mentioned before too was going beyond a land acknowledgement. Today, I'm gonna actually start with that and just kind of touch a little bit on what a lot of people will probably be starting on in a decolonization process, is starting with this concept of land acknowledgement, what it is, why it's not enough, and how that can kind of start a conversation into what decolonization is, what we are striving towards, what an indigenization can look like. I'm going to share my screen. Give me one sec. There's no sound needed. Okay. This is part of a presentation that the Bulbancha Collective, of which I am a part of, which is an Indigenous herbal medicine mutual aid organization that we started last year. We did a presentation about land acknowledgements at this year's Power Shift Convergence online. And so these are some of the a couple of the slides from that I feel like can really start a conversation. Lest we get too comfortable in giving lip service to stolen land, let us state now, a land acknowledgement simply acknowledges that a colonial power claims, uses, and extracts from land that is not theirs by heritage or stewardship. Many people, when it's over, pat themselves on the back and continue to benefit from her pain. If you're committed to decolonization, you must do better. A land acknowledgement must truly acknowledge and commit to the land. The land is central to our identities as Indigenous people, and so we take this time to center her and to talk about what the land is feeling, what the animal nations are feeling, and acknowledge their own sovereignty and right to life. The land also includes all the waters, all the lives, all the rock, leaf, microscopic, winged, and many-legged nations, all who are unjustly subjected to modern society's human-centric whims. We also must keep them and their rights and dignities in mind. It really is a process of starting to think about ourselves in this place together. We are all together. Next slide. Giving a land acknowledgement is a statement of intent to be in community with the land and the Indigenous people. In doing so, you are entering into ceremony. This is again from Bulbancha Collective. This is what we're interpreting this as. I also want to note that not every person or group or entity views land acknowledgements in the same way. So this is from us. I do want to state that. Ceremony is commitment, though. Being in community with Indigenous peoples and working towards decolonizing our relations to one another and getting free is going to require dismantling all the injustices and oppressions, including capitalism, racism, homophobia, transphobia, The list sometimes feels endless and exhausting, but all of these grow from the poisoned root of colonialism. And if we have any hope of seeing freedom, we got to get our hands in that dirt and start digging. Land acknowledgements have to be about more than acknowledging the caretakers of the past, more than placing theft, violence, and colonization in this category of past tense and leaving it there. None of this is past tense. Genocide and colonization are happening now, today, right now, this minute. In what ways are you working to decolonize your relationships, your views of history, your language? Language is going to be a big thing we're going to be talking about. How are you working to change the material conditions of the original peoples whose land you occupy? How are you working to heal your relationship to the land, to food, to taking down these beasts of capitalism and industry that wreak havoc on Earth? And how are you acknowledging and calling in Indigenous peoples in your fight? Do you know whose land you're on? Are you listening to us? And are you showing up for us? Yeah. How am I at my time? Do I have a couple more minutes? So yeah, so we're going to be talking about a whole lot of different aspects and ways in which you can think about decolonization, in which you can act on decolonization, in which you can start these conversations with your peers and such too. I think that's all I have for now.
Thanks, Ida. Abolition. So I'm gonna try not to get too heady, y'all. So I'm gonna keep it real plain here. Oh, my video, gotta turn on, thanks. And interpreters, if I need to slow down, please do not hesitate to ask. But the abolition curriculum is where, we're gonna collaboratively dream big and explore the question of what abolition means now for all of us in the South, right? We're going to explore the role that the healing justice work, conflict resolution, and this movement work that we're doing, confronting state violence, dismantling the prison system, all of those ways, all of those contexts that we think of when we think of abolition, we're going to dig deep so that we can have an understanding of the connection between how money and the creation of products and goods have bonded our human existence to the creation of capital, so that we can truly understand what freedom means while being intentional in the intersectionality of our collective work and come out with that understanding of what we need to do to continue to organize, strengthen, and build our relationship in the South so we can reclaim our human existence, because it's more than just the jobs that we do. It's about life and the life-making work that we all do every single day. And so we really want to welcome all of y'all into this. You're going to be able to see the work that you do. You're going to be able to see that struggle for freedom that you're fighting for every day in this curriculum. And so with that, I'm going to toss it over to Nina for mutual aid.
All right, y'all, bringing it home with mutual aid. Mutual aid, solidarity, and action. That's what mutual aid is. And it runs through all of these things. It runs through all of the core tenets of the SPI, new social economy, people's democracy, and protecting and defending our communities. So big shout out, first of all, to our People's First 100-Day Mutual Aid crew. I see y'all, I hear y'all, I miss y'all. So definitely come, let's throw down with our mutual aid study group. Big shout out to Alabama folks, see y'all, love y'all. And y'all already know you some of the best people. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about how mutual aid is both a response and a strategy, right? Mutual aid has to be both a response to these things, these systems, structures that are not working for us, and a strategy to build power, a strategy to build power. So mutual aid, a strategy to build power to combat racial capitalism, to build infrastructure, to train up our folks, potentially using the People's Movement Assembly format. And again, to respond to crises, these crises that we're seeing both locally in our communities across our states, our country, and the rest of the world. So to put it short, we're going to be mutual aid nerds. We're going to develop relationships. We're going to build community. We're going to build our strategy so we can have some nice hot damn sauce at this table. Yes, I made chili the other day too. So I'm all up in this chili energy with our hot damn sauce, and mutual aid is going to round it out nicely. So just remember to register, tell your folks, get with me. Don't be a stranger, and let's do this thing. And I will pass it back to, I believe, Shayla.
You're on mute, Shayla.
I'm over here talking to myself. You know, we're getting close to the end of the call, but we know that y'all have lots of resources. We know that y'all are the experts in the work that you do. You're experts in the area that you live. This is the opportunity where we can build our power by sharing resources with each other. So if you can take a moment, drop some resources in the chat box. We'll make sure that those resources are, you know, we take them back with us as we build out these curriculums and share them with everyone on this call. But look, chili recipes are welcome too. Cornbread recipes are welcome. Maybe they'll make it into the curriculum, who knows? But anything that y'all have, please share it. We want to make sure that we are absorbing this collective brilliance that we all have, and this light that we're all bringing to this work. And so thank you all. I'm going to now transfer it back over to, who is this going to? Ida, for the research challenge, and just go ahead and continue to drop those resources in the chat. Ida.
Okay, got a research challenge for y'all, a little bit of first day homework. My challenge is for y'all to, I don't know if there's a slide or not, but regardless, I want y'all to find the place name, the indigenous place name of where you live. It can be the English translation of that name. Extra credit will be for the language word of it. Something that one of our decolonization comrades said in one of our email chains that really hit with me was, decolonization decenters European colonizers' languages and terms and centers indigenous languages and words. I think I already mentioned beforehand, so sorry, New Orleans folks, but Bulbancha is my place name for where we are. Your extra credit will be finding out what that means. If you can find what language realm that is and what it means, that's for New Orleans folks. Yep, that's what I. Oh no, it's not all I have. I'm sorry. There are actually pitfalls. I totally forgot. I'm sorry. I went back to look. So the pitfalls, there is a website that is often used in people trying to find their place. Be aware that this is an open source website. It's the nativeland.ca site. That is an open source people-driven website. So that is not necessarily true. You are going to have to do a little bit more research into finding, into making sure that what is given to you on that website is what is actually true. There's another map that is in sepia tones. That one has been brought up that details land claims, not historic realities. These types of maps can often uphold erasure of non-federal tribes or non-recognized tribes. When you're doing this research, always question, who made this map? What is this map actually detailing? When was this map from? And where do the indigenous people live now if they have moved? Extra credit for people is to listen to or read An Indigenous People's History of the United States by Roxanne Dunbar Ortiz. Even if you're just starting it, it's a little bit of a trek, but extra credit.
Sweet. Thank you, Ida. So y'all, we got the invitation to the Freedom and Survival School. We got 3 major frameworks. We've even got a little bit of homework to really ground us in where we are. And we know we've got tools, we got maps, but even the maps, we got a question. We got to make sure we're using the map that makes the most sense, that's true to history. We got local knowledge. We're going to build up this critical thinking together. So we're really excited by all the energy that folks are bringing. We're excited to build up this facilitation team. We're excited to build up the synthesis team, and then the whole big school. If folks can't throw down as a facilitator this time around, no worries. Just come on as a participant. If you want to learn synthesis, let us know, and we'll get you on the synthesis team. This is a 6-month run. We're going to be together and work together and make this happen. And we will send out the recording of this, the notes, and links to help us do our homework, our extra credit, and to register. So that's the next big and really main step today, is to register for the Hot D.A.M SMA Freedom and Survival School. The registration's in the link. And hold September 22nd. That's the first day of school. That's going to be our opening session. We're going to get grounded. That's Wednesday evening, 5:30 Central, 6:30 Eastern. And then the other one, and I think we had some folks already excited. Your next action item is, as an organizer, don't just sign up, share this registration with somebody, with some folks that have been asking about it, some folks that might not feel connected, but want to be connected to movement work, want to get connected to the Southern Movement Assembly. This is a perfect entry point. We're going to continue these monthly membership, these assembly calls. We're going to focus in on skill shares during these general membership assembly calls, because it'll go up in line with the school, but it'll be really different space. It's wide open. We're going to just continue to learn these organizing skills together. We're going to do that in the big 4 fundamentals: investigate, negotiate, demonstrate, educate. We're going to work those organizing skills into these monthly calls as we do our deeper study throughout. So both are open, a little bit different, but ongoing from now all the way through the spring of 2022. So those are our action items. That's our word for today. And we're going to turn it over to the dance party music, the Electric Powwow, A Tribe Called Red, just to stay in our theme of decolonization, listening and learning from. And thank you all for coming out tonight.
Hey!